Yeah, we need to go and check for ourselves. Hey, we are live.
All right, cool. Yeah, I know it takes another second to go do its thing on YouTube as well. We are cool like that and multitasking. All right, awesome. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is episode 311. Wow, right? And we are here with, of course, myself and Mr. Salama. And our special guest this morning is Sharon, our newest skills ambassador. We'll be chatting with her, learning a little bit about who she is, what she has to offer, and what it could mean for you guys. So make sure you guys all say good morning to Sharon.
Good morning, Sharon. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. How's the weather in your area?
Oh my, it's freezing. It's like 75. I'm in flip-flops.
Hold on, where's the end show button? Hold on. Get out of here. I can't complain. It is like it's supposed to be like 50 here today, so I can't complain too much.
The thing is, she says freezing and 75 for wearing flip-flops. I believe it. It's probably 75 for her is probably freezing.
For sure. So let's jump into it. So Sharon, you know, we've been chatting for a few years back and forth, and I'm always excited to chat with you. I titled this episode Joy because every time that I speak with you, you just seem to have this sense of joy about learning, teaching, explaining, and just being involved. And I think it's really infectious. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, where your school is, so we can get to know you a little bit.
Well, I'm Sharon Rueckert, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and the name of my school is Inspiration Martial Arts. We recently rebranded to Inspiration Kids, and I really love being here in Arizona. I have a lot of teenagers in my program, and I'm originally from Kansas, and I have an undergraduate degree in psychology and then graduate work in social work. So that's kind of how I come to the martial arts. I'm a little bit different. I find that most of my friends are engineers coming to martial arts. I came in kind of as a social worker.
You know, and that's interesting because I guess by accident, you already have all of what we're trying to bring into what we do. For those of us that are bringing in social workers and therapists and you know PTOT into our school, you've already got that background. So how do you feel that having that background has tempered your views on teaching kids and the way that you run your business?
You know, when I got into this, it was by accident, literally. And my husband is your typical martial artist. You guys met him. He loves doing the martial arts, kicking and punching and having that kind of fun. But I found that people wanted more. When they came into martial arts, they said, hey, you know, teach my kid discipline, teach my kid focus. But really it was like, give me the skills and let me help my kid grow into a better person. And I think that's where skills came in for me. And so it just kind of really resonated with me when I found skills and I found Melody's program about a decade ago. It just was like the big shining pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. It was perfect because it answered all the questions.
Yeah, I kind of relate with you because, you know, my wife and I is the same way. My wife kind of got into martial arts by accident. You know what I mean? Like, she married me, she got stuck with me, and, you know, she was like, yeah, you know what? You're doing this all wrong. This is not how you deal with kids. This is not how you deal with parents. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, you two have the same thought process of, like, you know, we were trying to fix the problem the wrong way as martial arts instructors versus understanding the problem and the behavior behind the problem and possibly maybe understanding the parents And I speak from a martial artist point of view, not a therapist point of view, where my wife was like, no, well, why did you do that? That's not how you're gonna fix the problem. You're exacerbating the problem. Um, but for her degree is purely in child development, what I mean, and parenting. So yeah, no, I totally relate with you and how you're saying things. So, when we joined Skills, it was kind of like, ta-da!
It's an interesting balance where, we as martial artists, especially over the past decade or so, or 2 decades, have been promising all these things. And I think that, yes, we do provide all of these benefits, but it's almost a side effect, of the
Mhm.
training, getting that discipline, you're getting that goal setting, but it's almost like a side effect. And then you have that other aspect where you're working on the personal development very mindfully, thoughtfully, emotionally, and doing like that shadow work, trying to get to your inner self, but you don't always make the connections to the real world. And I think it's like Reese's peanut butter cups. When you bring the two great tastes together, it becomes something so much more when you can very mindfully address the challenges, but use the tools that we have in martial arts to then specifically foster those results instead of just having it be a side effect. So I love the influences that this has been bringing into what we do in the school. So Sharon, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with you. A lot of times, what I found in the martial arts, those who teach, right? All of us competed. If we taught, we competed, right? That's what got us into it. But there's a certain breed of people that are drawn to the martial arts generally, and the instructors are the competitors. And so, I find like they have a mindset, right? And they're very competitive. They're very athletic. They're usually very well liked, and so they don't have a lot of social issues. They don't have a lot of growth issues. But really, that's only 10% of the population. And they say only 10% of your population competes. I'm from an organization that has a very, very strong competition circuit. But the 9%, those kids and the parents that maybe the kid's chubby, maybe the kid's, socially awkward, maybe the kid's really shy. How do you relate to those kids? And that's where I feel like skills really kicks in, because the STORM program is just mind-blowing for me. It develops these children, and it gives them skills and communication, and it gives them confidence, and it's such a no-brainer. So by you take that and you give it to these great competitors, these school owners. I'm gonna tell the truth. My husband is an amazing martial artist, but when those kind of people, those amazing martial artists, look at children or look at people who maybe aren't, the 90% aren't amazing martial artists, sometimes they have a hard time connecting. And skills and storms gives you the opportunity to connect to the kids and to see how they work and what they need, and then to help them become the best person they can become. It's so satisfying because it really speaks to that 90% of your population that's still coming in with those hopes of being, cool and awesome and popular. It gives you that self-confidence that we want martial arts to give people, but it usually just gives it to the 10%. At least that's what I found.
I think you're spot on with that. And there's 2 points there that I love that you made. One is that most of us were competitors, and probably high-level competitors. I competed around our hemisphere. I was not the best in the world when I was competing, but I was good, right? And that makes it hard sometimes to relate to that kid that just isn't. They're just not physically talented. And then the other part of it is when you mentioned that 90% of being able to relate to them, very often we find ourselves as high-level performers judging our students against what we used to be able to do. I hear it all the time. Well, when I was coming up, I had to do. Well, you were the top 100%. Yeah. How many of us make it to black belt? How many of us make it to high-level black belt? How many of those open schools, and how many of those stayed open long enough to get enough students? It's unfair to compare your average typical student against what you could do. So I love that you brought that up.
You know what? Let me jump in real quick, because you two are like touching on a very sensitive subject when it comes to martial arts, right? Because everybody walks in the door, they're looking for martial arts. So one thing that I say to a lot of the martial arts school owners is, I need you to walk away from the martial art world. I need you to walk away from who you were as a martial arts instructor. I need you to walk away from your ego, your everything about martial arts. Sixth degree. I mean, I walk around around my studio without my uniform anymore, because even though as elegant as it looks, as bedazzled as it is, right? Sharon relates with me because I know in Kung Fu, you don't have a whole lot of like stars and slaps and patches and who
No,
you.
but we get gold and silver embroidery and
Okay,
dragons.
all right, okay, cool. But it's meaningless to the person that walks in the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a 6th degree black belt. Okay, and like, what is that? Walk away from the martial art egotistical, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, people. Please do not misunderstand me, okay? And walk into the child's life, walk into the parent's life. Sharon, you brought in earlier about people walking in the door looking for discipline and respect and all this stuff for the children, right? My question to the parents, and this is a mind shift that we all need to make, is, you know what, Sharon, I totally understand the fact that you need your child to maybe have a little bit more focus or have a little bit more structure. Sharon, would you like me to work with your child, or do you think it may be best if I work with you on how to enhance your child? Okay, that's the mind shift that we need to have, because okay, you know what, Sharon, yeah, I can help your child do that. Well, she's going to get that same answer at every other martial arts studio, that she's going to walk in the door trying to get some questions. But once I create the relationship with Sharon, telling her, would you like me to help you to do that? Like, if she says no, I want you to do it. No, I want you to do it for me. Guess what I'm going to do? Sharon, I'm sorry, you're not the right fit for us. Because there is nothing that I can do in the 45-minute window or the 30-minute window, like once or twice a week or 3 times a week, that's going to help that child in the amount of time that mother is looking for us to feed that child. Does that make sense? So, hello? Did I lose you guys?
A little bit.
Me. I can hear you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Yeah, and I totally agree with that, and I've had that conversation a couple times, even just over the past few days. It takes different forms. Sometimes it's, well, I know Tim's name comes up a lot, but Tim had the guy come into his school, the parent come into his school and said, well, this is what your competitor's charging. I want you to meet it. And now you get to have that conversation of, okay, this is what we do, and how we're going to help and who we're helping. And then I had another conversation where, when you change your sales process from, great, let me tell you how we're going to fix everything, to sit down, let's chat. How can I help your child? It becomes a very different relationship, not even just the conversation or the sales process. It's a completely different relationship now, because it becomes very child-centered. And I think when you're very child-centered, you're going to speak to the fears, concerns, and hopes that we all have as parents. I wonder every day, am I good enough father? Did I do a good enough job? So if somebody showed me how to be an even better father, I would be very thankful for that. It's a very different conversation.
Well, and everybody expects us, the school owners, to have all the answers, but there's nothing like walking in, like I did the other night. I walked into my academy, and my 17-year-old instructor, who's very quiet, she doesn't really talk a lot to people in general, she was just nailing this parent conversation. And she had the confidence, she had the background knowledge, she was able to really empower the parent. And it's funny, because the next day the parent talked to me in our kickboxing class, and she was telling me how she wants her kid to grow up and have that kind of confidence and that kind of knowledge. Now, this instructor is not really that big of a competitor. She's smart, she's a Girl Scout, she does that kind of stuff. But the confidence that she was able to have in that moment, and that all comes from the STORM program, and from taking the time throughout her growing up with me to teach her how to communicate to people, how to have those human skills. And sometimes I think the human skills, and in skills is more important than the kicking and the punching, because yeah, I have those skills. I have the education. I'm a school owner. I'm good at it. But when you can see the proof in the pudding in your teenagers, or your 13-year-olds and your 14-year-olds, where they can smile and help somebody, or they can answer a question, or they can encourage an adult. We had an adult trying to do push-ups, and she hadn't done it in years, and she was rather large. And I had three a teenager, a 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old run over, jump down, and do push-ups right next to her until she was done. And the whole time telling me, you can do this, you've got this. That kind of empathy goes a long way. It's way better than me walking around with all my bling on my shoulders and my medals and telling everybody how I'm a 15-time world champion. They don't care about that. They see that at school, all the kids care about each other and the parents care about each other, and empathy is the cool thing. I guess that's why I love skills so much, because it gives you a systematic way of not only teaching yourself, but all of your teenagers, your students. The STORM program teaches people how to have human skills.
So you've mentioned that STORM program a few times, and it is one of my personal favorite programs in my school. And it's one of the things that, we all used to have, like the 15-year-old helping teach class. People will come in and be like, well, why am I paying all this money if you're just going to have a 15-year-old teach class? And it changed that conversation to, wow, that kid is 12. How can my kid be like that? It's a really powerful program. In fact, we're using it now as an entry-level program. You don't even have to be part of our martial arts classes to join it. So is that like one of your favorite programs that you run in your school, just because you've mentioned it a few times? Or is there another program that's really, your personal favorite or most impactful?
Well, my team obviously loves the actual skills. We got rid of our Tiny Tiger program, and we are just absolutely 100% operating, with the early skills and the basic skills, 100%, the belts, everything. And my team loves it because they connect with the kids, they understand, and they can talk to the parents about it. But for me, it's STORM. The fact that it's so, simple, scalable. I can give it to any of my young adult instructors, and they can teach the STORM class, and it's right there for them. They can teach life skills, they can teach communication skills in a way that, the parents listening, they're impressed with it. But my kids, when they grow up, they're using it, like my 17-year-old instructor, being able to have that communication and just pull it out of her little bag and be able to use it comfortably. And then when I talked to her about it, she was so nonchalant. She was like, of course. How great is that you can reproduce yourself in a simple way? You don't have to take 15 years, to get someone the knowledge, or you don't have to spend all this money with a 4-year degree. You can just come in and learn how to teach people what they really want, and you get the example of that. And you're, like you said, the 12-year-old teaching on the floor. Parents never question why there's a young instructor on my floor. They're always bragging about it and telling their friends, guess how old he is, guess how old he is, I attribute it to STORM. I love STORM. I tell everybody that I ever talk to about the STORM program. I think it's genius. It's probably better than any academic class that I've taken in college.
Yeah, John and I think both agree. I've watched his STORM kids go out there and crush it in his classes. I have my community asking for our STORM kids to come out and help. So when we talk about this leadership, and I'm going to ask this of you because it was a great question that I got from one of my coaching clients last night, and I'd love to get your input. So when we think about leadership classes in the martial arts industry, very often it's you come in and we make sure that your techniques are really good so that you can go out and teach those techniques. STORM works a little bit differently, where we are teaching more the intellectual, social, emotional aspects of teaching. We're giving them skills to be a leader, not necessarily a teacher, though that's usually how it manifests for us. So what do you feel the strengths or pros or cons are of each method, whether it's just crafting a technically accurate exemplar versus maybe a leader who has better soft skills? Where do you find the pros and cons for each one, and how do you balance it?
Well, when I was using a different leadership program, the kids who gravitated to that were my performers, were my competitors. Again, I was just going to reproduce my husband and all the school owners that I know, right? And these other kids who I knew were good humans, they wouldn't even think about it. When I introduced Storm, Storm then brought in all these other kids, these quiet kids, these super smart kids, these, relatively nerdy kids, right? Brought them into the fold and gave them skills and communication ability, which I got to tell you, I've had several times over the years, some kids would want to quit. Parents wouldn't let them because they wanted them to get through that Storm program. And I have graduated so many kids in my industry. There's things, they rank instructors by collars, right? And black collar is kind of like you can run your own school in. I have created so many black collars because kids just see it, parents see it as a necessary kind of like a finishing school. I feel like it still Storm speaks to the 90%, right? And I feel like leadership skills, the soft skills, are more important than teaching kicking and punching. Anybody can teach kicking and punching, but to see a lady who is in her mid-40s and she's overweight and she's trying to lose weight and she's trying to do push-ups, and see a 12-year-old doing push-ups with her. No one made that 12-year-old run over there and do that, but jump on the floor and do push-ups with her and tell her she can do it. And then check on her, a month later when they see her in class. Hey, how's your weight loss? What are you doing? How's this going? And to see that communication between generations and that comfort level and that love and empathy for our community, I feel like we're missing that, especially with the pandemic. Everybody's been like locked into their computer screen, that people skill. I feel like that is huge. And I feel like as martial artists, if we can teach the people skill, we can teach the going out there and loving our community and communicating and giving people those skill sets. I think we're really changing the world that way. Making more people who can kick and punch and run and throw a good front kick, that's okay. But making kids who can go out there and see someone who's being bullied or seeing, someone who's overweight and trying to work out and nobody's walking with them, they get up and go walk with them in the morning before they go to school. That's huge. That's huge. That's going to make them great humans when they grow up. I can't speak enough about the Storm program. It's absolutely, I think, the most important thing we can do as martial artists.
So you're saying you kind of like that program?
Yeah, I love that program a lot.
I love the fact that we have been. Now, Sharon, I don't know about you, right? But I'm a very old man. I started martial arts in '83, and I think Mike was around the same window.
I am much younger than
he
Mr.
started in
Salama.
'84. He started in '84. But I think
let me cover my
we all
hair.
agree that growing up in martial arts was about how courageous you need to be, how confident you need to be, how powerful you need to be. I don't remember the days when they talked to us about being compassionate, being empathetic, being understanding. You know what I mean? It was all about how to strike and how to deliver your product as a martial arts. And you brought up very good points. Storm Team teaches us compassion, teaches us, being empathetic, understanding that not because I'm able to perform a technique at a certain high level doesn't mean that everybody else is able to do the same thing. Yet we can get them there, right? And again, I say, yeah, we're going to get them there, right? But it's that empathy that we need to have. It's that compassion. It's helping people out. It's the fact, like, I don't know. COVID is currently changing my mind. I know extreme and adults need to be separate class. COVID has done such a major number with my teens and adults because the number of people that we've combined teens and adults together. And right now, it's been nothing but the best classes ever. Teens are helping adults and adults are helping teens. They're motivating each other. And again, it could be COVID. Like, it's creating this compassionate based atmosphere for everybody. But they're working with each other. You know, you'll see this 60-year-old man who's trying to outdo a 14-year-old, and a 14-year-old is like, you know what? I got you, but you did beat me, but I got you. I'll get you next week. And I'm like, whoa, yes. You know, that's what I want. But yes, you're right. Storm Team does something. It's the way it's organized, the way it's planned out, the way it delivers the method is very methodical.
You know, John, I love that you said that. I talk to some people sometimes, you know, and usually for us by like age 15 or so, we're looking to bump them up into our adult program. And people say, oh, but my adults just won't want to be with 15-year-olds. And so, well, you're looking at it a little wrong. You know, when you can craft 15-year-olds who are mature and empathetic, respectful of wisdom and authority, but also self-motivated, and you can craft adults in turn who look at it as an opportunity for mentorship and almost a reinvigoration of the game. Because as adults, martial arts is play. You can't tell me otherwise. We're jumping around and pajamas performing to fight people. It's play.
Yes.
So when you bring that youthful sense into it, you know, it really benefits everybody to have the more mature teens right alongside those adults. It in a community sense, it really helps with that division where we have like, okay, boomer, hey, you kid, get off my lawn. Those go away because now they're all on the same team working to make a better world and a better self.
Yes.
I love that you brought that.
And isn't that what parents really want? They want that their kid is going to be able to be a good human. You know, I got to tell you, I've been doing this since 2002, and not one time in this whole situation have I ever had to kick and punch out in the real world. Have I ever had to like punch somebody in the face or kick somebody in the head? Not one time. And I have several titles, right? But every day when I go out into the real world, I have to be nice to people. I have to have empathy. I have to communicate. You know, I have to take my turn. And I think those skills are just going to make a better tomorrow.
I just think you're not living in the right side of the neighborhood.
Well, I would say, you know, unfortunately, I have had to use my martial arts to save my life a few times. And I'm very thankful for the physical abilities that my teacher gave me. But that said, if I'd have made better decisions in every single one of those circumstances, I would not have had to. It was always my fault. And you guys that have been around know I got a little bit of a mouth, and that's a little bit what got me into most of them. But, you know, when we give the kids these skills, to me, self-defense is creating a child who, first of all, won't be prone to being in those situations in the first place. And second of all, over the course of time, will have the social, economic, and mindset mobility to elevate themselves out of the circumstances where those things might happen. Maybe by moving to a better town or being a little more affluent or successful, changing their circles. That's self-defense. And I think that's what we do in skills. And of course, if it goes
100%.
awry, they still get some pretty good sidekicks out of it.
100%. And you know what? Regarding that comment that you made earlier, anybody that says, I can't do this, I won't have my teens with my adults, I'm not a babysitter, I'm like, okay, we're done talking. I'm just, you know, just whatever.
Right. Well, and these kids go out into the world, or I mean, I've even had adults, you know, sit in on my my storm program, right? And these adults come back and tell me how they got promoted at work because they had better communication skills. You know, they were able to apply them when they were supervising people, right? I mean, it's just real life skills. I mean, we're going to hire people that have a good personality, right? Well, the personality comes from the storm program. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to hire somebody because they can break a board on their first attempt, right? I'm going to hire them because they can relate to people, you know, and they can communicate well. And so, you know, this gets kids scholarships. This gets kids really cool jobs because they can take their martial arts skills. And when you think martial artist, you think someone who is like Miyagi, right? You don't really so much want to have like the Cobra Kai, you know, sensei. And so I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Storm, and I tell everybody about the Storm program, even when they first come in the door. And I'm with you, Michael. One of the things is we first started just making it leadership, and now we're using it in our after school and summer camp program. We're using it like just people can just buy into our leadership program and they get our Storm program for like $10 a month, because we just want everyone to be able to have those skills.
Can anybody hear what she just said? Storm team program for $10 a month. Can we please find a way to fill the back end by utilizing the front end? That is genius. I mean, hey.
Yeah, we just made that mix. And people are just signing up by the droves for it because they want their kid to be like my 12-year-old instructor, my 17-year-old instructor. They want them to be like that. I have adults that will pay for private lessons with my 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they like the way the 15-year-old communicates to them. And to see a 15-year-old high-five an adult and go, "You're awesome! Oh my God, I'm so proud of you!" You know, and see the adult smile really big and feel good. Where do you see that? Where else does these kids get to do that in life?
That's awesome. I love that. So, Sharon, I also want to be mindful of your time here. We are coming close to the end. I know you guys have a lot to offer. You know, I know you guys always approach us in like humility and you want to learn, but I also understand that you guys have a ton to teach. And I do watch all the stuff that you guys do, and it makes me better by seeing what you guys are doing. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and talk about maybe how to implement a Storm program, or any of the other things that we talk about in SKILLZ, how would they find you? How could they get in touch with you guys?
I'm on Facebook, Sharon Rueckert. I friend everybody. And I would probably say they can find me online with Inspiration Martial Arts. That's my web address is inspirationmartialarts.com. They can find me there, but probably the best way is just right on Facebook, friend me. I accept everybody's friend request. And if you talk to me, I'll talk back to you because I like to talk.
I thought I was special. You friend All right.
No. You're not the only one.
I'm not the only one. That's okay. The more the merrier. All right. So, like I said, we are coming up on time here. So I do want to thank you very much for making the time out of your morning. I know it's probably pretty early over there on the left side of the country. I really encourage people to reach out to Sharon, especially if you're on the western half of the country. A lot of people always say, well, how come you don't have any resources for us over there? Well, John, Melody, and I all live on the East Coast. Now you do. So please reach out to Sharon. She'll have some great insight. They do run also a fairly traditional program, still competing, still doing Taekwondo, and leveraging all the power of what SKILLZ brings. So it's a great example of how to make everything work together. All right, Mr. Salama, any final words for us here?
No, I can't top what you two just discussed. That's powerful right there.
Sure. Well, we're three powerful people.
I would like to say this. If anyone is thinking about developing that next bench, because let's face it, we all really need to be able to keep creating those instructors. Really, really, really look at the Storm program. Reach out, talk to me about it. But the Storm program is going to guarantee you that next bench. We don't ever hurt for instructors. We have a large bench because of Storm.
That is so important. I just saw a post, I think in the Century group the other day, of a gentleman trying to say, well, I'm at the end of my career, I want to retire. Who can I give this school to? And everybody's response is it's impossible because there's no way to train up your 40 years of experience in the few months that you have left.
Wait, listen, folks. In case you guys don't know, my family just went through a little situation, right? And literally since the beginning of November until now, I've probably been in the school 2 weeks worth. Enough said. I mean,
Yeah, John's not even in the same state right now.
yeah, like I'm out of my dad's house in Tennessee. So enough said. No, it has nothing to do with the years of experience in martial arts. Zero, zip, zilch, none. Like period. Okay. Again, I'm gonna go back and say it. Don't get it the wrong way. Take that egotistical approach out of the equation. Okay, just take it out of the equation. We all know how to punch and how to kick. Technically, by the time you graduate a first degree or a second degree black belt, they're pretty decent. Right now, I'm working with a school owner, and actually, those school owners, um, they, I mean, the young man and his wife, he just gotten his second degree recommended a year ago. He's about to test for second degree, decided with us. They became school owners, before he was technically a first degree decided. I mean, he got roped into some spot that he didn't know what he was getting into, right? And they're doing bloody amazing right now because of skills. I'm not going to say because of their past training. I'm not going to say due to the fact that I was training them. But again, Michael, to answer that gentleman's question of those people that were putting the comments out there, I'm so sorry. I so disagree with that one.
Yeah, and I hope you find somebody that's of the same mindset that we tend to be, because it's a way out for him to be able to quickly train up somebody who can take the reins. The rest you can figure out later. And be okay. I hope he finds the right.
And with the Storm Team program, like Sharon said, you can train anybody.
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 All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. Please make sure you do reach out to Sharon, say hello, and see what she can help you out with. And then, of course, if John or I could be of assistance, you guys know how to find us.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much, Sharon. You were awesome. Michael, let's do this again, bro.
All right. How about we'll schedule it for next Monday in the skills group?
Sounds great.
Have a great day, everybody.
Go crush it, guys.